let's run through a little
Okay.
taster.
So to make this play alongable at home, it's worth just giving a fraction of context about what this is and what it isn't, because people might be practice meditators or reflectors. And what we're pointing to with direct inquiry is different. So in meditation, either we're trying to get to an empty mind and have nothing, or we're trying to just focus on one thing, like a flame or a phrase. Now, we're not doing that in inquiry. We're not interested in there being an empty mind. We're not interested in there only being one thing in the mind. Also, what we're not doing is reflecting. We're not trying to understand more about what we think or analyze or critique anything going on. I mean, there might be questions involved, but we're not trying to work anything out. And actually, even when we do ask questions in inquiry, we're not looking for an answer, which might sound odd. Well, why do you ask a question if you don't want an answer? Because there's something in the looking for the question that really moves the needle rather than the answer itself. And the simple guidelines for inquiry are, it's about exploring the very moment we're in, but with no reference to any concept or anything we've learned in the past or might think in the future. It's the metaphor I would say is, imagine an alien, a Martian, has been popped into what we are right now, just come in, bonk, right? Is inexperienced, hasn't had science lessons, hasn't had any conditioning, has a basic understanding of English, otherwise we can't talk. But what would they experience? So the key with inquiry is to look and not reference anything that we've been taught, learnt, believe, or conceptual. And that's why it's quite unconventional. And that's why it's quite challenging, because we're so good at going, oh, that must be that, and labeling it and conceptualizing it.
Yes.
So they're the basic kind of guidelines. And there's no right and wrong. There's no answer. It's just have a go, see what happens, and then probably rewind it and then give it a few more goes would be my guess.
Right, Piers, before you jump in, let me just add one quick thing, because I just think it's worth potentially adding. I just had lunch with my baby daughter, and it was very clear to me how present she was, how that wasn't true for me. Now, what I mean by that is, as adults, we can't help but experience the world with this running commentary of labels. This, if you see a word, you can't help but read it, So that's the mind has done all that, which is why I think we're so unused to this, what you suggested, this idea of we're not looking for an answer. We're not looking for a concept. We're not looking for a word or anything like that. So it's almost, again, as well as being aliens, being that baby, isn't it? It's like having the baby mind.
Yeah, that's absolutely. We're reversing our conditioned learning that what you do is get fascinated by content. We're asking people to look what's there in experience apart from the content. But we're so fascinated by content, whether that's a word or a symbol or a perception, that's where we go. Whereas the baby mind, I mean, they're doing inquiry anyway, right? I mean, they are so direct because they haven't got anything conceptually learned yet. So that's what we're doing, and that's why it's unconventional. But it just takes a few times to see what we're pointing to sometimes. And also, people sometimes are expecting a really extraordinary experience where some kind of trumpet will go off and they'll have some kind of eureka moment. That's highly unlikely in my experience. But there's still a lot of power in the ordinary. So to start with, just maybe a couple of breaths or just something just to have a little let go, whatever it is. Just get comfy in wherever you are, sitting, standing, lying, or whatever you're doing right now. And often having a couple of little sort of helps that. Shake it out. Now, as we go through this, it is impossible to get this wrong or right. You're not trying to aim to have lots of thoughts, no thoughts, or anything. So whatever happens goes. Whatever happens goes. So any thoughts or sensations or things that might be happening in the body or the mind right now, absolutely okay. Don't do anything to them. Don't try and chase them away. Just let them flit through the system. And to start with, we'll just have a little play within awareness, shifting attention in and out. So maybe for a few seconds, just focus on one thing very specifically and narrowly. And it might be your thumb, it might be your toe. If you want to keep your eyes open, it might be staring at something. And just narrow down attention onto that very one thing. Could be my voice, doesn't matter what it is. Just narrow it right down and put your attention on that. And then when you've done that for a few seconds, widen it back out and just notice what else there is available in perception in the moment to you. So widen it out from that one thing, see the rest of the room if it was eyes open, all the sounds that are there. Maybe you might be noticing sounds outside rather than my voice. Maybe other things you're aware of in sensation, your clothes, the chair, other things that you can be aware of. Just widen it out. Go as wide as you can. And then just reverse that. Go narrow again. And you don't need to be focusing on the same things each time. It really doesn't matter. It's just to move narrow and wide within awareness, just to get used to it. Now, as you're doing this, it's highly likely there's going to be a series of perceptions and thoughts and sensations that are just appearing. And what we want to do is inquire into what is it that's there before those perceptions, feelings, and sensations. What are we before the activity of the mind? Is there something that's there? And we're going to do this by, first of all, just removing each of these faculties that we have and inquiring as to what is still there. Now, we don't need an answer to these. We're just going to have a play. So, first of all, let's do sight and image. So, if you want to close your eyes down, it helps, but you don't have to. But just imagine there's no seeing or sight or image. And that's of the external world or what we call the internal world. So without sight, image, and seeing, is there still something that is you? Is there something that's there before or without sight, image, and seeing? And just notice. Removing that, seeing what's still there. So there might still be images and things you see in your mind. That's okay. We're not trying to remove them. We're just saying, what is there before that, other than that? Now, let's do the same with sound, hearing. Without sound, hearing, my voice can carry on. Is there something we still are? Is there something there before the activity of listening, hearing, and sound? And then if we ask the same question, we put the two together without sight, seeing, sound, hearing. What are we? What's still there before the perception of seeing and hearing? Something. And then we're going to go a little further. There may be thoughts appearing, emerging in the space. And without thoughts, is there something there that we still are? What are we before the activity of thinking? So thoughts may come and go, but what's there consistently before thoughts, underneath thoughts? So without the activity of seeing, hearing, thinking, is there something we still are? Something essential and fundamental? It might be hard to define it or to put words to it. That doesn't matter. Just point that attention, if you can, to what might be there to notice before the activities of thinking, hearing, seeing. And then we're going to add one more. Feeling. And whether that's feeling an emotion or just feeling temperature or feeling something on your skin. Without the activity of feeling and sensation, if we remove that, what are we? What's there? So, without seeing, hearing, thinking, feeling and sensing, can we get the recognition, the revealing of something consistent and unchanging that we are? And we don't need to think about this or give it shape or anything. We just notice. We might get a trace, sensing of something, an essence of something that is there regardless to what is happening in thinking, seeing, hearing, feeling. Something consistent that never changes, that is us before any activity. As we remove each of those faculties of the thinking, seeing, hearing, feeling mind. And can we even rest there just for a moment? What do we notice as those thoughts come and go, those perceptions come and go? We're not interested in those. We're interested in noticing what's before. What are we? Is there the flicker of recognition of something more fundamental? Ordinary, easy, but there. That's not thinking, perceiving, feeling. I'm going to ask you to come out for a moment, maybe to share anything at all that you noticed or didn't notice during that few minutes.
So it's funny trying to describe it, isn't it? We immediately then fall into concepts and thoughts, but give it my best crack. So that sense of being, that sense of subtle aliveness, that sense of subtle awareness, stillness. I'm going to stop there. I think that's it, isn't it? And a thought that did pop up during it was, what would be most people's difficulty with this? And actually, that's what it is. It's the mind. Because as soon as the mind comes up in the form of thoughts to try and describe or grab it or identify with it, it kind of gets overlaid. As you said, it's before that, isn't it? And but I imagine that could be where someone perhaps overlooks this subtle quality of it, because we're so used to that noise going on. And the content, as we've spoken about the whole time, actually this is very subtle. But the more you bring your awareness to this awareness, the more you can recognize it. And the beautiful thing is it's always there, there. And it never changes.
I always describe it as invisible to subtle to obvious.
Yeah.
And it is so subtle to start with that you think there's nothing there. And then the other thing the mind will do, quite understandably given its conditioning, is going, what's the point?
Yes.
But the relevance for me of knowing why this is such a valuable thing to do is absolutely transformatively, game-changingly large.